In this tutorial, we're going to do a dynamic price material that you can easily show any number from 0 to 999.9 trillion. If you want to access the code or the assets of this video, you can check our Patreon in the description. So let's continue the tutorial. Hi everyone. In this tutorial, we're going to do an amazing dynamic price material. So this is something you can either create an instance, a material instance of, and then like set the parameters of by hand, and then set to a plane or something, so that you dynamically set it by using the parameters by manually, but it would stay there statically and it wouldn't change in your game. But or the main purpose of this is to make it so that the numbers on it can change during the game, which we also have a verse device that enables you to do that. And how you use it is simple. You just fill in a bunch of display props, so how much of these materials you want to show, and it's not going to look like this. So I just put this here by hand. In the editor, it looks a bit different, but in the game it will look much better. So I just created a simple plain prop blueprint, and I placed them there. And so we have like display props that you can set. So you put the plain prop here, you set the initial amount, and then you set triggers for this prop, and with each trigger you can bind a number that will basically the update amount for this for the current amount of this material that is displayed. And so how do we do this? It's a straightforward approach, but it requires some work. So it's two parts. One, we have the material and the texture, and then we have the device that this knows how the material works and updates that material using a given amount. So if you want to do this material, which I'll show you in a second, you need a texture atlas like this. So ours is like 404 by 400. It doesn't, so yours could be smaller or larger, doesn't matter. The only thing, it doesn't even need to be like a square texture. It could be a rectangle, so it could be like 400 to 800, doesn't matter. Only thing it matters is your texture atlas needs to be divided into 16 equal grids, 16 equal rectangle areas, and in each of them, so in from top left to bottom right, you have to have these corresponding characters, right? And so you can see from here, we use abbreviations for large numbers like million, billion, trillion, and thousand. And of course, you can understand from here, it displays up to trillion. So nothing more than that, but I think depending on your game, it's quite reasonably enough. So let's come to the main material, and then we also have the material instance that we use actually in the code to set the materials off. So for each, so basically what we're doing here is, so we are displaying 7 digits from left to right, right? And we are selecting those 7 digits, not actual 7 characters from this texture atlas, right? So for each characters here have an index, obviously. So from top left to bottom right, it goes from 0 to 15. And so for each vertical slot here, we are giving an index. So right now what I'm doing is I'm telling you how this works in high level. So we are giving the character index that of which character that we want to use. So if for this for the leftmost character, if you are giving the digit I'm sorry, the index 15, then it's going to be the dot. Of course, it's not going to be the dot. We are putting the dot always at this spot here. So we always have like one digit at the right of the dot, and then we have at least like one digit on the left, and then we have another character for the like dollar sign. And if it's like if it's a greater number, like if it is like greater than 10 or 100, then it obviously it will have more digits. And if it's some greater number than like 1,000 and million and billion, then it will have an abbreviation number here, right? So so for each basically character indexes, these are parameters. We give the for each characters here, we give the character index to pick from the texture atlas. So basically, depending on that index, like the material offsets, because we know this is like an even split texture, we know like the location of all these like characters on the atlas. So using that index, it basically offsets and finds these and pulls these from here and then puts onto the resulting image. And you can hear like depending on the, so we have the default values here. So you can hear, actually we don't use this, but so this is, you can see this more like a visibility. Yeah, we don't actually use this alpha mask in the end. We didn't use it in the end, but yeah, this is how visually it happens. So like for a given index of, let's say, what is this? So character index 0, the default value of it is 11. So 11 is, so it's actually 1,000, so it's here. So you can see that it's picking up that character there, right? So we bind the indexes of all these here, and we have the dot as like constant, because we always have the dot here on the index 2. And we pull in the row and column sizes. I mean, this is again constant, it's 4 by 4, and it doesn't mean like, it doesn't matter the size of the texture. It just means that, it's divided up to 16 equal parts, and it's, 4 by 4. And then we inverse it for beforehand to use with our like computations. And then, so what happens here from 0 to 15, so we get the texture coordinates, we get the x and y of it. So then we divide it by the inverse of the row and column size. So basically we're dividing it by 0.25. And then we are getting the like floor of that. So this basically gives us the UV indexes of the column and the row, which results in something like this, right? So this is actually for the, of course, for the 0, 0 value. And then, sometimes like we don't always show all the digits, right? So we do selective visibility and we do that by using the vertical stripes, basically. And that's how we do it here. But before that, let me show this. So this is where we do the horizontal slice, because and actually this is where we use the so this is the character width. So I might be wrong, actually we might be using the size somewhere. Where did I, okay, I'm sorry, this is okay, I messed up. This is the renaming route here. Okay, so we get the R, we get the X of this, we get the U of this UV. And then, we have like 7 digits. So we get that max digits. And then we divide it by 1. So we divide 1 by this. So this basically gives us the width in like UV space for each of these characters. So, we have 7 digits. So it's going to be like 1/7 width for each character, since we have, the UV spaces from 0 to 1. And yeah, in other words, this handles the horizontal slice. And then here, so we have, so here we have a thing called the character slot index, which is, the character index is the, which character is it from here. And then the character slot index is basically the slots in this, horizontal slots, or, I'm sorry, it's actually vertical slots that we're going to put the characters on the resulting image, right? So you can see, so basically this is going to take this is for the first one, the second one, third one, and then we do this for all the 7 characters. And let me show you the saturation result. So you can see that we get this vertical piece. We get all these vertical pieces, right? And then using the character index result, character index parameter, which is, some digit, some character from the atlas, from the texture, we basically put that on this vertical piece, right? And then we add all of them together. So we basically, so this is, I don't know why it's black, maybe because of the dot. Yeah, could be. So we get it all together, and basically then we have them all lined up, right? Which we use in here. So for the slot, so character index for the slot. So we add them all together. Yeah, got a bit lost there. So then using that result, we are basically creating an offset UV, which is, this image is not going to make sense here, but what we are doing here is that, and again, we are getting the texture coordinate, and we're getting we're again doing some UV conversion. We are getting something called the local UV. So what we are doing is basically we are getting like this, for example, this like some grid here, right? And then we are putting it somewhere, some slot over here. And then we do that for like each of these slots. Basically, that's what we do. And by that, and that resulting computation gives us that final UV, which we plug into our texture, and then we also have a texture color. We multiply it with it because this is just a resulting thing is just a white and black. So when we multiply it with green, we get a green color. And then for the so we are using a sprite node so that it follows always follows the camera, and then we can easily set up its size. And then for the opacity, so again we are looking for in here we calculate it as if like we are going to display all of them, so because we don't care, but here I know that I don't want to, if it's not 1,000, I don't want to put a K here. I just don't want anything here. Maybe it's like, or it is 1,000. I want to put a K, but then maybe it's 10,000 and I don't want a digit here. Instead, I want to, I don't want anything here. It's actually, I want the dollar sign here and I don't want anything here. So I don't want this piece visible. So we actually, most of the time, most of the stripes are going to be visible, but just the 3 stripes, the first one here and the last 2 stripes here are not, their visibilities might change. So that's why we also have 3 parameters for their visibilities. So basically, using those Boolean, so-called Boolean, but it's just very full of parameters. But we use them as if they are Booleans. So we basically calculate the opacity stripes. And then here we have the the middle section. So we calculate the middle section no matter what separately, and then we calculate these individual sprites that might be visible or not, and then we sum them together, and then we have the end result visibility, right? And then we obviously we multiply that with the alpha channel of the texture, because we don't want these black empty spaces. We only want the white part, so we multiply them together and then we plug into the opacity. So yeah, and the verse code is a much simpler compared to the material. So we just have these containers defined, and we have the asset path defined here. So you may want to change the asset path to correspond to your own. We define the containers that we use on the editables, and then when we come to the main device, it's just initializing those container classes, and then we just have one function here which does it gets the material and it gets the amount to set. So we have our abbreviations. So first, using these, we calculate the abbreviation character. So we set all our parameters in verse as well. So and we have $sign character index defined, and then we have all the abbreviation indexes for the abbreviations as defined. And this is the dots character, even though we are not setting it on the verse code, because this is always set on the material. I just write it here because to make more clarity. So basically from 0 to 6 and excluding 2, we set all the indexes to match the characters that we want. So here we, I believe, yeah. So here we first decide on the abbreviation, if there is any abbreviation, and then we set the visibility of that rightmost character to true, and then we come to the middle digits, actually the digits at the left of the dot. So depending on the size of the size of the number, we are setting them visible, and we are setting the indexes. So we are basically doing divisions and mods. We are getting the values of those digits. It might say 1,000 here, but it's actually works up to trillion, because the aberration part is handled here, and the remaining amount. So if this were something trillion, then that trillion part is going to be stripped out, and then the only part we are going to have is just some as if it's some value that's smaller than 1,000, but it's actually not. And in the end, we set all the variables we prepared to the materials, and that's actually it. So very much simpler than the material itself. So let me show that again slowly. Right. So if you want to get these assets and the code, all the materials and the texture, you can check our Patreon description. But I mean, this is something, and if you are not limited to our texture atlas, even if you get it from our Patreon or not. Only thing you need to do, just don't forget, just you don't even need to do a square texture, or it can work as a rectangle texture as well. The size of the texture doesn't matter here. Only thing that matters is that you divide up your texture into 16 equal pieces, and then make sure all of the characters are centered at those 16 rectangle pieces. And right now this is a square texture, so these are square grids, but it could be rectangle grids as well. So they're all centered except the dot, because if you would center the dot, it would put the dot like in the air. So you need to put the dots like at the bottom a bit. And then, I talked a lot, so let me just show you how it works, right? So let me get my Fortnite here. Okay. So you can see even this one like works. This is the one that I set without the code with hand. So right now, so if I step on this, it'll get like 100 more, right? And if I step on this, it's going to decrease. And I can actually, let's increase this till 1000. And you'll see, it goes. And this starts with 1000 and, increases by 500. You can see how it works. And this is the million. This is the billion. This is the trillion. And it's pretty easy to use in the sense that I can just come here to the material instance. I can change the texture color. I can change the texture size and make it, bigger or smaller, or, I can make this text color something else. And even actually you could, based on your logic, maybe when you have like small amount of money you want to, and actually, I mean, originally this is done with an idea of to display money, but you can actually, not use the $sign at all, maybe, and just use this to display numbers, and that works as well. Cancel now. Okay. So yeah, that's about it. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you've enjoyed, and also leave a comment on what troll you would want to see next. See you later.